It started on a quiet night. A house still and silent. A family shattered forever. A woman, young, healthy, loved, found lifeless in her own home. Her death, inexplicable. The story, like the house, seemed ordinary at first. But small details began to whisper secrets. A needle on the steps, a bottle of pills in the wrong room, a husband with all the answers, and none at all. What happens when the person closest to you knows too much? Was it a tragic accident, a hidden struggle, or something far darker, buried behind closed doors? It's not just the death of a loved one, it's the dressage, it's the breaking of your spirit, which no one sees coming until they have buried their face in the dirt. Laredo, Texas, a quiet town on the edge of the border, a place where life unfolds slowly, where neighbors wave, children play, and the nights fall silent. But sometimes, silence isn't as peaceful as it seems. Maria, a mother, a friend, a beacon of love in her family's life. To those who knew her, she was irreplaceable, always there with a kind word, always putting her children first. But on September 22, 2020, something changed. The laughter in her home stopped, and the silence left in its place. It spoke louder than anyone expected. It said to my wife, "No wonder they were so afraid that this would happen to us. In a few weeks, my husband will be dead, and my weak little baby struggles with her life." My wife pushed him away, saying, "It's not his time." At 3 a.m., a call to 911 echoed into the stillness. "She's not breathing," he said. His voice was calm, too calm perhaps. First responders rushed to the scene, but what they found raised more questions than answers. Why was the house so quiet? Where were the signs of life? And why did the pieces of the story not quite fit together? Maria's death seemed like a tragic accident, but small details, the kind most would overlook, began to hint at something far more sinister. A syringe cap lying at the bottom of a staircase, a window left slightly ajar on a still night, and a calm voice on the phone that didn't quite match the panic of the moment. Maria was full of life, so how did she lose it so suddenly? And what secrets were hiding behind the closed doors of her home that night? Maria Munoz grew up in a close-knit family on the south side of Laredo. She was the middle child of 5, a position that, as some say, makes you a natural peacekeeper. Even as a child, Maria had a warmth about her, a presence that could light up any room. Her laugh, soft, bright, was the kind of sound you didn't forget. Her parents, hard-working immigrants who came to the U.S. chasing the promise of a better life, taught Maria the value of perseverance. Her mother worked late into the night as a seamstress. Her father held jobs in construction, often leaving before sunrise. Despite their struggles, the Munoz household was rich in love, in laughter, in the little things that mattered most. But Maria's life wasn't without its struggles. When she was 14, her parents divorced, a moment that split her world in two. The laughter in the house quieted. Maria, caught between the pain of her parents' separation and her role as the glue holding her siblings together, turned to the only thing that brought her comfort: her dreams. She wrote about her goals, her future, and the kind of life she wanted to build. "One day, I'll have a family of my own," she wrote. "I'll do things differently. I'll give them the love we always had." Through high school and beyond, Maria worked part-time jobs to support herself and her siblings. She never complained. She never stopped believing. By the time she reached adulthood, Maria was no stranger to sacrifice or hard work. She had a resilience that could carry her through the toughest days, and a kindness that could soften the hardest hearts. It was during these years, her 20s, that Maria truly came into her own. She was strong, independent, and quietly determined to create the life she always dreamed of. And then she met him. The man who, at the time, seemed like the missing piece. He was charming, successful, someone who shared her dreams of family and stability. To Maria, it felt like fate had finally aligned, like her struggles had led her straight to happiness. She built a life with him. A home, 2 beautiful children who became her whole world. To anyone looking in from the outside, Maria's life looked picture perfect. But pictures, as we know, don't always tell the full story. Was everything as perfect as it seemed? Or were there shadows Maria chose to hide, even from herself? How well do we really know the people we love? How much can a smile hide? And when the cracks finally show, how long do we have before it's too late? Joel Pillow grew up in a home defined by discipline, precision, and ambition. The son of a respected nurse and a physician, excellence wasn't an option. It was expected. From an early age, Joel learned that success came at a price: time, sacrifice, and a quiet acceptance of pressure. It's unsettled. To his parents, Joel was their shining star, the one who would carry their legacy. He excelled in school, bringing home straight A's and academic awards. Teachers praised his focus, his determination, and his ability to stay calm under pressure. But even then, there were whispers. Some classmates described him as quiet, withdrawn. Others said he could be unquestioningly intense, a perfectionist who didn't tolerate failure, not in himself and certainly not in others. By his early 20s, Joel's path seemed perfectly laid out. He studied nursing and chose a specialized field that demanded precision and control: anesthesia. Becoming a nurse anesthetist is no small feat. It requires unwavering focus, extensive knowledge, and the ability to perform under pressure. Joel thrived in that environment. To his peers, he was confident and collected. To his family, he was the success story they had always imagined. Over time, Joel's focus became his mask. He built a reputation for professionalism, but behind the scenes, cracks began to show. Did the pressure to maintain perfection begin to take a toll? Or was there always something hidden beneath the surface, a darker part of Joel that no one noticed or dared to look for? Met Maria, it must have seemed like the perfect balance. She was warm, loving, and open, everything Joel appeared to lack. To their friends and family, they looked like the ideal match: a man with a plan and a woman with a heart full of dreams. But perfection is rarely what it seems. As their relationship deepened, those closest to the couple started to notice something off. Joel was driven, but was he too driven? Maria was patient, but was she too forgiving? On the surface, Joel Pillow's life was unfolding exactly as planned: successful, respected, and admired. But beneath the polish, the cracks were there. Cracks that would deepen over time. What happens when perfection turns to obsession, and when someone so good at holding control begins to lose it? How well do we really know the ones we call perfect? What's hidden behind the masks they wear? And when the illusion shatters, how much damage does it leave behind? At exactly 3:02 a.m., a call comes through to emergency services. The voice on the line is frantic, desperate, but composed enough to speak clearly. "My wife's not breathing," the man says. "She might have taken some pills." His name, Joel Pillow. The woman he's calling about, Maria Munoz, his wife of nearly 8 years. Moments later, the call is relayed to first responders, paramedics, fire units, and the local police. The address is a quiet suburban street in Laredo. The dispatcher's voice is calm. The clock ticks on. It takes less than 10 minutes for help to arrive. A fire truck, an ambulance, police units pulling up to the house where the lights inside are still dark. Outside, a man stands alone, a figure in teal surgical scrubs, backlit by flashing emergency lights. It's Joel Pillow. Joel's voice trembles as he repeats his story. "She wasn't feeling well, she took something, and now she's not breathing." His words come fast, his hands fidgeting. The paramedics push past him, racing inside the house. Inside the house, first responders find Maria lying motionless in the couple's bedroom. She's unresponsive, pale, her breathing completely stopped. CPR begins immediately. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours as paramedics fight to save her life. Despite their efforts, despite every tool and skill they have, there's nothing they can do. At 3:58 a.m., Maria Munoz is declared dead. Outside, Joel Pello stands alone. His hands are shaking, his breathing uneven. Officer Gregorio de la Cruz, the first officer on the scene, watches him carefully. Something about Joel feels off. Why wasn't Joel inside next to his wife? Why did his scrubs look almost too clean for someone who just tried to save her? And why did his story already feel rehearsed? Beadlow Bells stars, join me in welcoming you to part 2 of our special series filming with Lori Jacobs and Rutina Graff Clark, produced by Truth Orbit. Joel's explanation is simple. Maria took something. But when police ask for the pills, Joel hesitates. Moments later, he produces a bottle of clonazepam from the bathroom cabinet. Officer de la Cruz can't help but wonder, why wasn't the bottle near Maria? Why did Joel have to go looking for it? Officer Gregorio de la Cruz arrives at the scene, his body cam flicking on with a faint red glow. It's quiet, unnaturally so. The house stands still against the early morning sky, its silence deafening. In Europe, de la Cruz sees him almost immediately, a man standing in the front yard, still and silent. The teal surgical scrubs catch his eye, neat, clean, almost too pristine for the chaos of the moment. It's Joel Pello, Maria's husband. And something about him doesn't sit right. Anger was a reaction because he expected more from his wife and less from his children. De la Cruz had been to scenes like this before. Emergencies where panic is raw and real, where grief is loud and chaotic. But Joel Pello wasn't grieving the way most husbands would. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't crying. He was calm. Too calm. She's inside, Joel says. His voice is low, measured, almost detached. She took something. I tried to help her. But de la Cruz notices the details. The tiny tremor in Joel's hands, the beads of sweat collecting around his hairline despite the cool morning air. De la Cruz steps into the house. His body cam captures everything. The dimly lit hallway, the faint smell of antiseptic in the air, the bedroom door, half open, as if someone had just been there. Inside, Maria lies still on the bed, her pale face framed by morning shadows. Paramedics are stepping back now, their voices low as they confirm what de la Cruz already suspects. Maria is gone, but it's not Maria that catches his attention, it's everything else. The bathroom door is ajar, a bottle of pills just visible on the shelf inside. De la Cruz asks Joel for details. What did she take? The author of the pages, he notes, curls with determination. Harriet gets up to go to the bathroom, but preempts herself at the door. When Joel retrieves the bottle of clonazepam, something feels wrong. De la Cruz doesn't say anything, he just observes. Why wasn't the bottle near Maria? Why was it in the cabinet? And why, after handing it over, does Joel slip it back into his pocket when he thinks no one's watching? De la Cruz doesn't have answers yet, but he knows one thing for certain. Nothing about this scene feels right. Joel's calm demeanor, the misplaced pill bottle, the needle cap, the silence that hangs heavy in the air. Was Joel a grieving husband who'd done everything he could to save his wife? Or was there something darker, something hidden in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered? As Officer de la Cruz searches the house, Joel Pello offers his explanation. Maria overdosed on clonazepam, a prescription drug commonly used to treat anxiety. But as de la Cruz listens, something doesn't add up. The medicine cabinet is pristine. The bottle is there, untouched, exactly where it shouldn't be. Why wasn't it near Maria? If she had overdosed, Wouldn't the pills, or at least the bottle, be close to her? When De La Cruz asks Joel for the pills, there's hesitation. A beat too long. Joel disappears into the bathroom, his movements deliberate. And then, as if aware that every moment is being watched, Joel produces the bottle. "Here," Joel says, "this is the one." His voice is even, too even. The label confirms it belongs to him. But something else catches De La Cruz's attention. The cap looks undisturbed, sealed, almost. Had it been used at all? And then it happens. De La Cruz watches quietly, intently, as Joel takes the pill bottle and slips it into his pocket. A small movement, a seemingly insignificant detail, but to De La Cruz, it raises 1,000 questions. Why would Joel take the pills back? Why pocket the very thing that could explain his wife's death? Was it a mistake? A reflex? Or was he trying to hide something? Officer De La Cruz doesn't confront Joel. Not yet. Instead, he takes note. A pocketed pill bottle. An overdose that feels too tidy. A scene that raises more questions than answers. And so the question lingers. If Maria took these pills, why does everything about this bottle, this scene, feel so staged? On the stairs, partially hidden beneath the shadows. There it is, a needle catheter, a medical object that shouldn't be here. A critical. De La Cruz stops, his training kicks in. This isn't something you overlook. Needles don't just appear in a family home. Not on the stairs. Not in a house where 2 young children live. De La Cruz examines the needle closely. It's clean. No blood, no visible residue. It's as if it's been placed there recently and deliberately. He calls out to Joel, still sitting silently in the living room. "Why is there a needle on the stairs?" De La Cruz asks. Joel doesn't answer right away. He hesitates, just for a second, before responding flatly, "I don't know. I must have dropped it." Joel's answer doesn't sit right. He's a nurse anesthetist. Needles are part of his work, part of his world. But why here? Why now? If Maria overdosed, as Joel claims, then why would this be on the stairs, far from where she was found? De La Cruz examines the needle closely. It's clean. No blood, no visible residue. It's as if it's been placed there recently and deliberately. He calls out to Joel, still sitting silently in the living room. What does the needle mean? Is it just a piece of Joel's work, brought home by accident? Or is it evidence left behind by someone who knew exactly what they were doing? Gregorio de la Cruz isn't done. As his eyes scan Maria's body, something catches his attention. A small red mark on the inside of her elbow. Lateo commento Atlanta. Subtle, a single pinpoint that might have been overlooked by anyone who didn't know better. But De La Cruz knows exactly what he's looking at. A mark like that, it's the kind of detail you see in hospitals, not homes. The kind of mark left behind by a needle. De La Cruz doesn't say anything yet. He doesn't have to, but in his mind, questions are already taking shape. Could this mark have come from a medical injection? If so, why? And who administered it? The weight loss trial claims that many of the groups just managed to convict him for all of the murders and maimed themselves. After all, didn't you just owe an inaugural class in humanism? Joel's a nurse anesthetist. He knows about needles, about drugs, about the marks they leave behind. But when De La Cruz looks at him, Joel says nothing. He offers no explanation, no concern, no grief. And then there are the whispers. Maria's friends and family, people who knew her best, begin to speak. They remember the last few weeks of Maria's life. The exhaustion in her voice. The moments when she seemed distant, as though something was weighing her down. The pieces are small, but they're starting to fit. A red mark on Maria's arm. A needle cap on the stairs. A husband. Calm, detached, unbothered. Could this mark be the evidence of something far more sinister? Was it an accident? Or a calculated act? And if it was deliberate, then who had the knowledge and the motive to do it? As investigators dig deeper into Maria's life, they uncover something unexpected: a journal, a collection of her thoughts, her fears, and her quiet cries for help, hidden within the pages she wrote alone at night. Maria documented everything: her love for her children, her hopes for the future, and most chillingly, the slow unraveling of her marriage. Trees start small. Quiet observations about Joel's long work hours, his growing distance. But as the pages turn, the words grow heavier. Maria begins to write about his absence, not just physically, but emotionally. Maria loved her family. Her children were her world. But the one person who should have been her partner, the one person she trusted, was slipping away. In one entry, Maria writes, "I'm afraid to ask him what he really wants. What if he tells me the truth?" The words are simple, but they reveal everything. Maria knew something was wrong. She knew Joel had changed. She just didn't know how far it would go. The journals speak for Maria in ways she never could. They reveal a woman who loved deeply but carried a silent pain. A woman who saw the cracks forming but couldn't stop the pieces from falling apart. Maria wasn't just writing about her struggles. In the final weeks of her life, she did something even more revealing. She recorded them. Quietly. Secretly. On her cell phone. In one video, Maria confronts Joel. It's late at night. The house is silent except for the low murmur of their voices. Maria's words are gentle, but there's tension beneath them. The conversation is short, but it's telling. Maria pleads for answers, for honesty. Joel's responses are cold, dismissive, laced with an undercurrent of impatience. At one point, Maria's voice cracks. "Do you even want to fix this?" she asks. Joel's response is quiet, but it cuts deep. "Ski back away more," Joel says, and asks if Joel is okay. Listening to the recording is heartbreaking. Maria is searching for hope, for something to hold on to. But what she gets is a door closing slowly in front of her. Joel doesn't yell. He doesn't argue. Instead, his indifference speaks volumes. Was Maria beginning to realize the truth? Did she know, deep down, that the man sitting across from her, the man she'd built a life with, had already made up his mind? Weeks after Maria Munoz's death, the toxicology report is finally complete. For the investigators, this report is more than just paperwork. It's the key to understanding what really happened that night. The medical examiner examines Maria's samples carefully. Blood, tissue, every result double-checked. When the findings come back, they're not just unexpected, they're shocking. There's no clonazepam in Maria's system. None. The drug Joel claimed she took doesn't exist here. Instead, the toxicology report uncovers something much darker. Something deliberate. Morphine, propofol, versed, ketamine, lidocaine. Each drug on its own is dangerous enough. But together, they're lethal. This is not the result of an accident. This is calculated, controlled. Poison. For investigators, the pieces are finally coming together. The misplaced pill bottle, the needle on the stairs, the red mark on Maria's arm, and now the toxicology report. Evidence that someone with knowledge and access ended Maria's life. And what kind of person poisons someone they once vowed to love? What kind of person uses their own knowledge, their own profession, to destroy the one closest to them? And, most chillingly, what was Joel Pelot hoping to gain? When we back out, we can imagine and think about the mental state of someone and worry about it. The following 7 steps. It's the moment investigators have been building toward for weeks. With every piece of evidence, Maria's journal, the toxicology report, the red mark on her arm, it's become clear. Maria didn't die by accident, and now, Joel Pelot has no place left to hide. On a quiet evening in Laredo, Texas, police arrive at the Pelot home. Joel is arrested for the murder of his wife, Maria Munoz. The news spreads quickly. To the world, it's unthinkable. How does a seemingly perfect marriage end in such horror? How does a man who pledged love and protection turn into someone capable of such a deliberate and calculated crime? It's Maria's voice, her journals, her recordings that give us the answers. Her quiet cries for help, her struggles, her truths. They all speak louder now than they ever did in life. As Joel Pillow is driven away, the world sees the face of a man who once held everything: a career, a family, and the trust of the woman who loved him. But that trust, investigators believe, was broken long before September 22nd. The arrest of Joel Pillow is not the end of Maria's story. It's only the beginning of the fight for justice. For the investigators, for her family, and for the children she loved so deeply, this arrest is a first step. But the question lingers: will Joel Pillow pay for what he did? And will Maria's voice, her journals, her recordings, be enough to ensure justice is served? Maria Muñoz's case is a chilling reminder of how we often never truly know the people closest to us. Her tragic death was not just a story of loss, it was a story of courage, of a woman who tried to break free from the bonds of a toxic relationship, even in her final moments. Her journals and recordings were her weapon, a testament to her strength. In the end, Maria's story is one of survival, of justice, and of the power of speaking out, no matter the cost. What do you think about the case of Maria Muñoz? How did her journals and recordings help bring justice? Was Joel Pillow truly the monster he appeared to be? Or is there more to the story we haven't yet uncovered? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat.